Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about ultimate skins, as the potential for us to get another one is actually fairly high. Riot are over on Twitter right now talking about what makes an ultimate skin for the player base and what they can do to try and do more of these skins, as it's been quite some time since we've gotten an ultimate skin, and the last couple that Riot have released have not done very well. And they're extremely high profile and splashy skins. They can sell themselves on hype alone, but if Riot gets them wrong, they basically don't do anything. No one buys them, they end up being not very popular, and then Riot's wasted a ton of dev time on a skin that more or less didn't do anything. And on top of that as well, I do feel like Riot shouldn't just be making ultimate skins to make them. I do feel like there are sort of opportunities that can arise spontaneously when Riot get a really good design, and I feel like that generally tends to lead to the best ultimate skins. So there's sort of a very delicate balance that Riot needs to strike with not only the number of ultimate skins created, but also trying to find a way to do them well. So in today's video, I wanted to go through the previous Ultimate Skin releases, talk a little bit about why these skins were impressive when they came out, and sort of chronicle the evolution of Ultimate Skins, and then at the end, sort of once we've covered all of them and sort of how they were received, talk a little bit about what qualities in these Ultimate Skins are things that Riot can use to make ones going forwards. Without further ado, let's jump into it, talking about Pulsefire Ezreal, which is the original Ultimate Skin. It started life as a regular Ezreal Legendary, but Riot just kept adding features to it until they realized it wasn't a Legendary skin anymore, it was a new tier. And while Pulsefire Ezreal was an amazing skin at the time, it's definitely fallen off in shininess as the years have gone on. For those of you who are about to argue that that's just an age thing, keep watching the video. A lot of Pulsefire Ezreal's uniqueness, like having an evolving model and last hit VFX and a couple unique animations, just aren't noticeable or aren't really enough with how the game has evolved and how the quality of cosmetics has evolved. Kayle, for example, is a regular champion that does Pulsefire Ezreal's shtick as a matter of gameplay. She upgrades with her ultimate the same as a $20 to $30 skin does, so it's sort of irrelevant saying that, oh yeah, Pulsefire Ezreal still stands up, look at it as evolving animations. One of the other problems with PFE that's been cited is that it's no longer its own skin archetype. Riot's released another half dozen or so Pulsefire skins in the last few years, which means that PFE isn't unique in terms of its thematic anymore, which means that new Ezreal legendaries like Battle Academia are almost more exciting than Pulsefire Ezreal. So clearly this isn't a good example for how to do ultimates today. It's a good example though of how not to do them. Anything you plan on eventually doing more of in skins isn't something you should bank an ultimate on, and so while PFE was impressive for its time, it's very lackluster nowadays. Next up is Spirit Guard Udyr, definitely not a VGU. And as the second ultimate skin, SGU came with a lot of hype. It stands up pretty well today, but I think a large percentage of the reason is because it takes base Udyr, who's basically isn't a champion right now in terms of his appearance, and makes him into a fairly modern-looking character. And so as a result, Spirit Guard Udyr I don't think stands out as a skin per se, but rather as the ideal fantasy for Udyr players. This is likely to change after the VGU, however, and we'll have to see if Spirit Guard Udyr still holds up after Udyr base looks like a champion. It does have all the bells and whistles from a legendary tier, on top of having unique particles for entering a stance and evolving his appearance when a stance reaches his final rank. As far as ultimates go, this makes it on par with Pulsefire Ezreal. The only thing that makes it feel better, though, is because the upgrade from Classic Udyr to Spirit Guard Udyr is so much more than it is from Classic Ezreal to Pulsefire Ezreal. So this is another skin that after the VGU, I actually expect to feel a lot worse for Udyr players. So we'll see what ends up happening to it at the end of the day, though. But clearly, I think this is in the same exact tier as Pulsefire Ezreal, so it's still another one of those skins that was good at the time, but I feel like it's definitely going to fall off with time. And then we get to DJ Sona, and this is, in my opinion, the best ultimate skin that Riot have ever released, hands down, no questions asked. And this is because not only does Sona do what the other two do, which is have a form-changing model, but she has what I like to call the wow factor. She does something that is so incredibly unique and is not done in any other skin, right? This is something that is unique to DJ Sona, that is unique to the character. You couldn't have done this on another character at all, and ends up being just something that's so amazing that when you see the skin, you're like, wait, seriously? Like, that's a thing that it does. And that's the music that it plays in the background. DJ Sona is a skin that on top of having all of the other ultimate skin tier qualities, right, of having its own unique models and being able to swap between all of them and having unique particles on each of the forms that you're able to choose, but also gives you the free background music that it plays as well. You have the ability of building up this background music by playing your abilities in a certain order. You have the ability to break it down whenever you cast your ultimate. I can tell across the map when a DJ Sona is ulting because of the change in the music, and the fact that you have not just one, but 3 different songs to choose from depending on what form you're in is really what makes this skin so special. Like, this was a paradigm shift for ultimate skins. Before, it was fine to have a skin that evolves with ultimate rank or evolves at max rank of a stance, and that's kind of it. DJ Sona, though, changed this by introducing an external factor that was not only thematic to the character, but also was just something so crazy to think of. Like, no one could have seen this coming. No one would have expected Riot would release a skin that would do this. And that's partially why I think DJ Sona still holds up today, even though she's one of the oldest legendary or ultimate skins, because of the musical factor. And I think it's this wow factor that really elevated ultimate skins to a new tier, but also has become sort of Riot's kryptonite in terms of being able to release fancy ultimate skins moving forwards. Moving on down to Elementalist Lux, I honestly think it's a little disappointing because it doesn't do anything fun with Lux's core concept, unlike DJ Sona, but it does still have a bit of a wow factor in that it's 10 skins in one. Obviously, this isn't unique to Lux specifically, but it does have the ability, the impressiveness of saying, hey, you're going to pick this one skin, and it turns into any one of these other 9 skins as you play the game. That's really cool. The ability to mix and match in order to create new forms as the game goes on is a really impressive thing to do as well. And it also means that it's 10 skins in one, right? Like, you bought one skin one time, and all of these skins are coming with their own unique voiceovers and slightly altered animations in order to not only match the original aesthetic, but also to make it so that you still feel like an elementalist, right? You're throwing fire as Fire Lux, you're throwing lightning as Storm Lux. That it kind of ends up working out very well, and it does mean that it does feel like 10 different skins as opposed to the same skin but just dressed up a little bit differently. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why Elementalist Lux still stands out to me. I think it falls off a little bit in comparison to DJ Sona. I think the wow factor isn't quite as good, but it's definitely still one of the last good ultimates that Riot have developed. Actually, the last good ultimate that Riot developed, because the others after this have lacked a wow factor. And to kind of talk a little bit more about this, Gun Goddess Misfortune. What did this skin do that really set it apart from other ultimates? The answer is basically nothing. It does the form swapping thing. It has unique particle effects for each of the forms that you're able to take. You can swap forms in game, which is nice, but like, what does it do besides that? Right? And this is the problem with how Riot changed the game with DJ Sona. It's not enough for the skin to just do what baseline ultimates do. Players want to know, what does the skin do that's super impressive and unique and exciting? And the answer for Gun Goddess Misfortune is none of it. It doesn't have that wow factor. It's just a baseline ultimate, which is funny to say because it's still an ultimate skin. And I do think Gun Goddess Misfortune gets a bit of a bad rap, given that it still is an ultimate skin. It's still extremely clean. It has great animations. It has unique particles for each of the 4 forms, which you can swap to in-game. And the fact that Riot discounted it, I think, was a good sign of faith from them to be able to say, hey, you know, we know this didn't go as hard as Elementalist Lux or DJ Sona, so we're going to discount it. But I still think it is an ultimate skin and it deserves that price tag. But I think the problem, though, is that Riot had taught players that there's going to be something extra coming with ultimate skins nowadays, and to not have that is a little bit disappointing. And I do feel like that is the first decline of ultimate skins, because Riot had been pushing the boundaries, and then this skin came out and it was safely within those boundaries, and the player base was kind of like, what gives? Also, it was an AD carry skin and not a top laner skin, and I feel like a lot of players were anticipating being able to run a full ultimate skin team comp, and the fact that we didn't get a top lane was a disappointment for some players, so there's that. And then finally we get to KDA Seraphine, which is not an ultimate skin. I think it was even more disappointing than GGMF, because at least GGMF says you can form swap in-game, I do everything that the ultimate skins want you to do, right, this works. Seraphine, however, KDA Seraphine is just a Seraphine Legendary skin bundle. because you pick the skin in advance. You don't actually evolve throughout the game, right? I could have imagined a concept where you start as KDA Indie Seraphine, and then when you learn your ultimate at level 6, you upgrade to the mid-tier Seraphine, and then when you upgrade your ultimate at level 11, you upgrade to KDA All-Out Seraphine, and that's where you stay for the rest of the game. That would have been an interesting concept that at least still has the evolving model that kind of chronicles Seraphine's rise from obscurity to being able to perform with KDA. That would have been a really cool execution on the skin concept, and instead Riot said it's 3 skins in 1, but it doesn't evolve. And while each of the skins do have their own unique particles, they don't actually have unique animations or anything, which then just leads to the skin feeling even more disappointing, because it's sort of like, what does this do that a legendary skin doesn't? Couldn't I have just bought this as a legendary skin and only got the one I wanted versus buying it as an ultimate? Now, to be fair, you're still getting 3 legendary skins for the price of 1 ultimate, which actually is, it works out to being like a free ultimate or a free legendary skin. Buy 2, get 1 free, right? But it's not what you want out of an ultimate skin. The game changer doesn't exist in this one, right? There is no wow factor. It's just, I'm getting 3 legendary skins for my champion. And even the voiceover, I don't think is actually that different from base Seraphine. And part of the problem as well is that because it was released for a new champion, first, it feels a little unearned, right? We don't even know Seraphine yet, and she's getting an ultimate. What do you mean? But it also means that Riot haven't had an opportunity to actually get to know Seraphine as a character yet, right? They don't know what players like most about her, and that's one of the biggest things that I feel like happens with the other ultimates, is Riot knows what players like, Riot knows what the sort of biggest fantasies of those players are, and that's what they build into their ultimate skins. And KDA Seraphine, I feel like, was just not there from any of these perspectives. So just another letdown after already we had the letdown of GGMF, and then KDA Seraphine was even worse for ultimate skins. So where does that leave us? So through this journey, I think we can come up with a few things that make for an ultimate skin, and a few more that can make an ultimate skin truly ultimate. So first, ultimates are legendary plus skins. If they only do what pre-existing legendary skins can do, unique voiceovers, model, animations, particle effects, etc., then it's not enough to truly be legendary. Pulsefire Ezreal skirts this line very closely, but he does manage to still feel ultimate and qualify, I think. The second is exclusivity. If the skin is part of a skin line, it doesn't really feel unique or ultimate, it's just a fancier version of a skin that could have existed otherwise. You could have made a Pulsefire Ezreal without all the extra bells and whistles, and it still would have felt like it belonged to the Pulsefire universe, right? Versus DJ Sona. You can't do more DJ skin lines, right? No other character would come close to doing what DJ Sona could do. They would feel so lackluster by comparison. And I think that exclusivity is very important for ultimate skins going forwards. Third is form swapping. This is the only common thread between all of the other ultimate skins. If there isn't transformation happening for your champ throughout the game, or at least the option of transformation, then the skin won't really feel ultimate. The transformations being radically different from each other also helps the skin stand out from the crowd. GGMF and DJ Sona have essentially different models, different particle effects, different animations depending on what stance they're in. Lux evolves throughout the game, and each of these evolutions has their own particle effects and voiceover lines. That, I think, is a very core component to what makes an ultimate skin feel ultimate. And finally, you need a wow factor. The best ultimates have some other factor at play that elevates them beyond just a transforming legendary skin, right? What makes these skins more impressive than a Kale legendary skin, right? Because she evolves throughout the game. So what is this ultimate skin doing that makes it feel even better than that? DJ Sona, it's the music. Elementalist Lux, it's 10 skins that you get to pick between during the game. That's sort of something that an ultimate skin needs. And this is hard because the wow factor isn't something that you can make into a formula, right? This isn't something that you can say, oh, okay, just pick one of these 3 preloaded wow factors that we've come up with and slap them into the skin. That doesn't work. Ideally, these wow factors are something that the skin does that no other skin could do, right? That plays into the theme of the champion or the theme of the skin in an extremely effective way. Right, Elementalist Lux, for example, the ability, she has all of the elements at her disposal, and she can choose which element she wants throughout the game, right? That's something that's really cool and unique to the concept of that skin line in particular. DJ Sona, same deal. She plays music, she can DJ for you, she can swap between songs throughout the game. That's a really cool thing. And the problem with this, then, is that Riot need to come up with these. And this is one of the reasons why I think Riot need to make sure that they're doing ultimate skins only as they find these concepts. And I don't think they need to necessarily innovate new tech every time they do an ultimate skin, but I think they need to find that wow factor every time they do it. They need to find a concept for a character that they can say, this would be really amazing and cool and elevate this ultimate skin further beyond. And once you've got that, you can figure out the evolutions, you can figure out the form swappings and the particle effects and all that stuff, but you need to start with that core concept. And that's one of the things that I feel like means we won't see very many ultimate skins, but it will also mean that when we do get ultimate skins, they won't feel formulaic. I do think that if Riot want to start mass-producing ultimate skins, they at least need to clear the bar of GGMF. I think that's the bare minimum in order to be considered ultimate, but I feel like Riot shouldn't do that because ultimates are rare and special, and getting even one a year, I would argue, is too many. I feel like these should be, and every once in a while, they come around, but when they do, they blow your socks off. So anyways, those are my opinions on ultimate skins, guys. You'll have to let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your opinions, or if you have anything else that for you makes ultimate skins feel impressive. If you enjoyed the video today, go ahead and leave it a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all later.